Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Are we good?
Yeah.
I honestly had probably the best intro in the history of all these podcasts.
No, but you were out of focus. Like, you don't feel anything. You throw it in the bin.
Here we go. Hello and welcome to the CS Duplessis Show. Thanks so much for coming along on this journey. For everyone who's liked and subscribed, we thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. And of course, to our sponsors at Betway, check out betway.co.za for more information. Now, a man joins me in studio who I've admired for many, many years. He's always been one of the nicest guys. We've talked about video games. We've talked about being ninjas. You know, I'm a ginger ninja. But he's a pioneer of South African mixed martial arts, of jiu-jitsu, of combat sports. His name, Richie Quan. Richie, honestly, man, thanks for making time and coming out. I know you're a busy man, but congrats on all your success. You guys have done a phenomenal job.
Thank you very much. It's always great to be here.
Tell me, what's putting fire in your belly these days? What's keeping you busy? I know I'm going straight in. We've got 45 to 50 minutes. I'm going straight in here.
Yeah, lots of things. I'm doing lots of things. Might not seem like it, but I'm doing a lot of things. But yeah, we just moved into a new facility.
Brilliant.
And it's like a lifetime of work into this, and it's come alive, and it came quicker than we expected. And it's a dream facility. It really is, and it's uplifted the community, our business, just everything. It's what we've been looking at for the last 15 years, and it's here now. So, you know, we went through all the different phases. We had the black mat days, blue mat days, and now it's the grey mat days.
I like the blue mats.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has their favorite, their favorite mats, their favorite generation, and it all came with its good and bads and its purpose. So yeah, the purpose right now is the grey mat area, and I'm loving life right now. Yeah.
Congrats, man. That's fantastic. Whereabouts is this facility? Where can people find out more? Because, I mean, you're growing each and every year. You were telling me the numbers of, on the mat alone, and also that there's kids.
Yeah.
I think you said 3 years old?
Yeah, from 3 years old all the way to teens class. We have some days 100 kids on the mat.
Wow.
I mean, what facility, not even in this country, overseas, I mean, I've been everywhere in the world. Like, we've reached what we've wanted to reach, and to see 100 kids running on the mat, learning a skill, you know, it's a really positive thing.
It must fill you with immense pride and joy, seeing that, right?
100%, you know. A full gym, a full community, a full mat, it gives you a sense of good achievement, or how I see it, yes.
That word community is so important to you guys. I know you, Chef, the team, you know, the whole community. That's what really has bound you together and been part of your success, not just in what you've done in professional sports, be it, I mean, Guy Lazarus and Monique this couple weekends ago, fantastic, the European BJJ Championships.
Yeah.
They walked away with gold. It was a tremendous performance. So shout out to them, but also shout out to, clearly you guys are onto a winning formula.
Yeah. I mean, it's I've always wanted to raise BJJ champs as well, you know. Obviously, mixed martial arts, everyone knows we're pioneers in this country of it. I wanted to also develop a boxing champion, which we did with Boyd Allen. And my dream and passion is always Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that's what we've done. I mean, we've produced European champions now, a team that is kind of recognized traveling the world, and obviously the biggest one is the number one grappler in the whole of Africa. Luke Griffin came out of our mats, and so it's great just to see the growth. But the community as well is why I use that word, because what's makes it different with these individuals is they're not what you would say original full-time athletes. These individuals, say like Monique, she works as a full corporate job, you know, 9 to 5 and even further hours, but she puts in the hours, she puts in the finances, and she travels the world, and she does big international competitions, and she wins some and loses some, and you know, she achieved a very high level right now of European champ in her division. And it's people might not see it as a big thing, but it's a massive thing. Same with Guy, even though he works in the gym, he still has a job.
Yeah.
He can't train all day, multiple sessions a day. And what he did is also, we don't have that many in this country. You can't pick out and say, oh, well, we have 10 or 3 or 4, it is unique. And some people will say, oh, it's not that hard, but go try.
I mean, just to touch on Monique's story, I mean, it's not like she's been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu since the age of 6.
100%.
She's a late bloomer.
Yeah.
And wow, is she blooming at the moment. So congrats to everyone involved there. It's phenomenal, really.
Yeah.
That's why I think, like, I'm obviously someone who keeps a close eye on events like Submission Kings and, that Jiu-Jitsu sort of, I mean, the combat Jiu-Jitsu, you've got the grappling there, you've got a bit of everything.
Yeah.
We need more of that, right? Especially for the talent that we're producing currently.
100%.
And what was interesting was something you said with the 3-year-olds, that you've got 70 to 100 kids on this mat. I mean, that is exciting, because who knows what comes out of that generation, that talent pipeline, and where they can go in this world.
100%. I mean, that's the secret is, if you look at any of the top level grapplers right now, they come out of a generation of training as a kid.
Yeah.
It makes a difference regardless. And so if we can start that now and we put a 15-year plan in, one of these kids could do something very special like what Dricus du Plessis did.
Yeah.
And we always have not a short-term plan. Our plans, my chef and I's plans have always been 10, 15-year plans, and we're coming to an end of a certain plan, and we're going to begin another plan.
I'm dying to hear about this plan, because let's take it back. And I think I obviously want to touch on Dricus, because he's done a phenomenal job, and he's an incredible guy. I love the man, what he's done for MMA, not only in South Africa, but in Africa and the rest of the world.
100%,
is truly phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I hope his success continues when he defends the belts, when he moves into light heavy, whatever it may be. But he has to pay gratitude, or I don't know if gratitude's the right word. I'm lost for the word here, but respect to what has come before him.
Yeah.
Because I think people, 2 weeks before Dricus's fight against Sean Strickland in Toronto, 297, no one knew who Dricus du Plessis was.
Yeah.
A week before the fight, when the hype was there, 50% more people knew who he was.
Yeah.
Wins the title, all of a sudden everyone knows Dricus du Plessis, and everyone is like, oh, this guy's done this amazing thing, and MMA is brilliant, and what's next? But what they forget is how long MMA has actually been.
Yeah.
And how your gym, your teammates, your community paved the way for Dricus, for whoever else comes.
Yeah.
Temba Garimbo, for example, has come out of your stable.
Yeah.
You guys were the pioneers, and to a large extent, I feel like you were ahead of time. Like,
I think
in a way.
Chef always tells me we were too ahead of time.
Yeah.
We were too ahead of the ball, and that's what caused, I think, some issues in the game plans of where we wanted to be, because we're just too ahead of it. But that's the sport of MMA. You got the highest highs and your lowest lows, and people know you now, they don't know you next. But yeah, like you said, a week before the fight, no one knew who Dricus is, but they don't understand his story and what he's done. But now they will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if I go back to where in the early days of EFC, even before Gareth Soldier Boy went to UFC, and even before that, your fascination with MMA, with combat sports, I mean, that goes back to the USA.
Yeah.
I mean, way back, like 20 odd years ago
Yeah.
now. I mean, giving away your age. I mean, you look incredible for 60.
It's just because I'm Asian.
But California, in a way, shaped you?
Yeah.
Is that a fair comment?
I think my childhood shaped me.
Okay.
I've always been obsessed with martial arts, and I think that obsession has stayed with me. And, we've chatted a lot with the kaizen theory, and implementing that with my obsessions has developed my style of learning quicker and staying ahead of the wave, basically. And Yeah, California obviously did a lot for me, being in a prime of mixed martial arts and understanding all of that, bringing that back to South Africa when there was nothing here.
Yeah.
Guys were fighting in Durban, in tents, in car parks. EFC getting developed in the gym and having filled out Coca-Cola stadiums, having 16 EFC champions, any and every big name that is in the market right now came off the Black Mac era, including Drickus. At 16 years old, that guy was special even when he was on our mats for that short period of time. And Temba Garimbo and all the names, but our footprint was before anyone actually even understands compared to the era now. For instance, Gareth McClellan is definitely one of the individuals that has helped Drickus right now, and it's crazy because they were foes. The first loss was Gareth, and now they're helping each other.
Yeah.
Or Gareth has given him some knowledge to understand what has given a path for him. It's cool to see how things fall into each other, but history doesn't lie at the end of the day, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of what we've done. First big UFC win. We've had 3 or 4 UFC guys out of our gym, and beyond that, people forget that I brought back a Bellator World Championship belt for South Africa.
Yep.
But some people care, some people don't. Guys in PFL, 1FC, all the promotions. I'm proud of the boys, and I'm proud of the men they've become now, and journeys go separate ways as well. But the history is always there. It's always cool to go back to the history and see how those boys became men, and how many of them were on the mat, and how many of them succeeded right now and where they are. And that's what I mean by the eras. That was the black mat eras. That was the super competitive brainstorming, lab work, testing everything, traveling the world, trying to find a secret pill. There's no secret pill, and trying to catch up. But we didn't really need to catch up. And it was just it was good days, and then going into the blue mat days, and that had its time as well, and understanding as well. And now I'm in a different part of my life with the grey mat areas, and Chef and I got big plans coming up, and we're focusing on a few things, and now we're back into the MMA circuit. Not that we left, but our focus is pushing towards that way now again, building guys from bottom up, amateurs, and going into pros, and see where it goes from here.
It was great to see your face at the last EFC. I think as a pioneer, as a trailblazer, as someone who tested the boundaries of the sport at a time when South African MMA was not ready for it.
Yeah.
I think it's important that IP, especially what you and Chef and the guys have come up with, is put back into the sport. Because
100%.
What is the point of all that blood, sweat and tears on the black mats?
Yeah.
What is the point?
What's the point? It must uplift everyone in South Africa and build a path and a bridge for these individuals to get to their dreams. And we've got someone that has done that and made it possible, and people to see that as possible. But it's great to see all the different guys competing, and still competing with the style and system that is mine.
Yeah, you're like, I know that blueprint.
Yeah,
I've seen that before.
And it's really great, that it's still working for them and they're still using it. And it brings me great pride. Obviously, stuff is hard sore when you put so much into someone. It's like a piece of your heart as a coach, but that's life. And it's just good to see, like, they will always have a DNA of me that will never leave them regardless, and it's making them succeed, and I'm happy that it still is.
Tell me a bit about when you were first going to the UFC, because like for a lot of people involved, they were going, the UFC's light years away, especially in the early days, but yet there you guys were, getting ready for the UFC, you know, and it was like from a South African point of view, and it was immense sort of excitement because we were like, that's the Holy Grail, that's the Holy Land, right?
It was surreal, and I think it was too quick for us.
Yeah.
It had its purpose, and it built the bridge. I always talk about it was the first generation. You know, if we talk about guys like Conor McGregor, SBG, and his coach, Conor's like, I think, 6th generation. You know, we were the first generation of guys, and yeah, I think it was a bit too quick, but it was right. I wouldn't take anything back, and it was amazing to be standing in stadiums, seeing people that you kind of watch and study, and being around that environment, and understanding that it's not this this super beast, you know. But I do think there's a lot of things that I would have changed in terms of my athletes. They understanding what is ready and what is not, because back in those days, if a chance came, you jump on it.
Absolutely.
Regardless if you're ready or not, you jump on it. It was the early days. We didn't have what we have now, and the education we have now, and the managers and the opportunities and all of that type of stuff. So when it came, we jumped on it, and the wave took us, and it was the best ride. I wouldn't change anything, you know, from Gareth to Don Maz to JP to all of the guys. You know, it was crazy times. Like you brought up, I just came back to EFC recently, and I was just a little bit burnt out. You know, for 10 years, I had like 30 of the top African mixed martial artists on my mat. It's a crazy environment, and if people understand the competition and level in that gym, and everyone was eventually fighting overseas. So there's one coach, 10 guys maybe fighting internationally, and the rest locally. I remember flying to the US, flying back as I landed, changing my bags that night, flying out again. And that wasn't 1 or 2 years. That was a few, 5 or 6, 7 years that I was doing.
You've got a family at the end of the day.
I had a business, I had a family. It all took strain, and it took strain on me as well. And it just is what it is. Like I said, I wouldn't change it. I learned a lot from it, but I needed a break. So I had the opportunity now to take that break, and I took a 3-year break of cornering and being in those environments, because it drains you. It takes a piece off you, for me it does, because of how much I give to my athletes, and I even though I've learned better now, I still can't change that. It's just my style of coaching. So the break was great, but I feel revived. I feel fresh. I feel ready for new challenges and a new era for myself. Not necessarily for people, but just fresh-minded, new goals, old goals to get. And I feel good.
And if reports are anything to go by, there's exciting news on the horizon for the EFC with investors and expansion. So I think the timing is potentially perfect for that sort of new broom, fresh ideas and some old ideas to come back and show themselves.
100%. And like I always say, my goals are not short. They're not 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. I've got a goal for the next 5 years to 10 years, and maybe we'll be sitting down then and talking about it.
You're welcome anytime. It's an open door policy. Ray's already said, who's that guy? He's so cool. He must come in all the time. So big fan over there, Ray, executive producer. Shout out to him for putting this all together. What's interesting too is people also forget like the cyborg stuff that you did. I mean, here's arguably one of the greatest ever to do it. And she ends up training in Johannesburg.
Not
Africa,
once, but
a couple times,
right?
Preparing for one of the biggest fights of her career.
Yeah.
And who happens to be there? There's Richie.
Yeah.
How did that all come about?
So Don Madge had hooked up with Cyborg in the US, helped her with Holly Holmes' fight.
Okay.
and that's where kind of the connection went. And Don's always a good friend and a good student of mine, and spoke to her about coming to meet me, train with us, see how you liked it. And she came over and she loved it. You know, we still chat every now and then, and got a good relationship, and she's doing really well. But yeah, like I said, history is forgotten, but you can't erase history, you know.
Exactly.
And like I said, one of her biggest fights was the Bellator World title, which is now obviously purchased by the PFL, but it was the second biggest promotion in the world, with arguably the best female mixed or combat athlete. I wouldn't even say mixed martial arts athlete. She's a grand slam of mixed martial arts. And she was in Johannesburg training not for one fight, not for two fights, and her title fight. And we trained here, we went over to LA, and we got the job done. We got the finish, how we wanted it to finish, and, you know, technically I brought back one of the biggest belts in mixed martial arts history, which I'm very proud of. And it's just wrong timing, I think. It will be different if people are a little bit more educated on like they are now. But yeah, I feel good about it, and wrong timing, but it's not always about that. Yeah.
Still think the foundation you built, though, has paved the way for so many athletes. You know, and it's just put the EFC in a sort of global orbit as Africa's premier mixed martial arts promotion, right? And that's because of the hard work that's been done in the past. We're obviously now lapping up all the success from Drickus, and rightly so, because there's a lot of individuals that have been around since day one and pre that. But it excites me potentially where we could go now, because like you say, you've got kids now doing BJJ from 3. You're doing kids doing MMA from 4, 5, whatever it is. And we have this talent that is waiting to burst onto the scene.
I think that's the biggest lesson that Drickus can teach the younger generation and the older generation, is that we always believed that we weren't good enough. We always believed that if you have to make it, you have to go overseas. And it kind of became like a sickness, I think, with everyone. And he has totally eliminated that toxicity, and hopefully to bring out the positivity of the new generation on how they can be like, well, I can only be in Africa or South Africa, but I can do this. If I really want to, if I have the will, the drive, I can do this. Is it easy? No. You know, people don't understand how special Drickus is, and that's why he is who he is. But I think that's the biggest lesson I hope he's taught everyone, is that the talent here is unbelievable, and we just need to believe in our abilities, and we will achieve it.
What excites you about Drickus? I mean, his style is coming for a lot of criticism. People are saying it's unorthodox. He has a strange pace where he strikes from, his angles. He blows up to like 96 or 100 kgs after weigh-in. But what excites you as a student of the game, as someone who's seen him when he just started to where he is now?
Those, what you've said, are all great attributes of an athlete, 100%. For me, I've always said from the Black Mac era, and when I saw him win his first grappling tournament, to other guys in the gym, his biggest strength for me is he knows how to win. He's a winner. Nothing will veer him off his path of winning. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters. Everyone wants to say, oh, it's how you win. Yeah, to a certain degree. But if you lose, there's greater consequence. Regardless, you win. That's all that matters. And I think that's his secret power. He knows how to win, and he is a winner. And he wholeheartedly believes it, which manifests what he needs to do and gets it done.
I will move on now, but who would you like to see him fight next? Do you think the Adesanya hype is what we need to see? Is it Khamzat Chimaev someone, or a rematch with Strickland? I'm putting you on the spot, yes. Sorry.
all matches, those three opponents, I think, is going to bring out a different Drickus. And the Adesanya, I really think his style, everyone's having the discussions before, and I think his style is Adesanya's kryptonite.
Okay.
So regardless of Strickland or Adesanya, I was just like, well, yeah, this is going to be a problem. I personally would like to see him against a Russian.
Okay.
That type of style.
Yeah.
So obviously the only person right now that could do that is Khamzat, but I don't think that will happen, to be honest with you. But maybe in the future. I think that in terms of styles, his style and a Russian style, I would love to see that as a scrap. Yeah.
And Richie, as someone who's been there from the beginning, what would it mean to attend a UFC event on African soil? I mean, especially with your history.
Yeah, I would sit there feeling quite proud of everyone.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about just myself, but there's so many guys that put in the work. Just off my mat, there was over 30 guys, but in other gyms, there was tons of guys that gave their life, their soul, their blood, their sweat. And I hope everyone, the day it is going to happen, and the day it happens, that people sit there and actually take it in. It's been years and years and years of manifesting and everyone's hard work, not just mine. And I'll be happy about that, because it's the growth.
Yeah.
It goes from one generation to next generation, and 3 or 4 generations from now, I can only imagine what it's going to be like.
Richie, you took the time off. Let's say it was a 3-year sabbatical. In that space of time, you someone, and I know we talk about the kaizen theory, and as someone who's constantly trying to improve that 1%, you have been fascinating on your social media.
Yeah.
Like the combat medic stuff.
Yeah.
That has blown my mind, because I know it's like you're training, like it's an actual situation.
Yeah.
And seeing some of the videos, and I'm going like, if there's one guy in the apocalypse, Ray, it's this man next to me. Sorry, bud, but it's you. Because you can do it all.
I get it. I get that a lot. But it's more, like I said, I have an obsessive personality. And I think I've, from a young age, understand and was gladly introduced to the kaizen theory. And mixing obsession with the kaizen theory, that 1% theory, has given me the ability to learn things quickly and to consistently learn things. Because
do you absorb stuff quite easily?
I do now.
And retain it?
Because learning is a skill.
Yes.
It's not just for everyone.
Yeah.
And you have to understand how to learn visually, physically, audibly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think because I understand that, it's pretty easy for me to also be motivated, because I feel that's the biggest thing is guys get unmotivated or they're not motivated. And people know me for my martial arts, but if you just spend a day with me, most of the guys that are with me at the gym just like don't understand like how I do it or what am I doing, because I'll go from my job, which is martial arts. Just before here, I was teaching firearms courses. Then I'll go to a medics course, and I'll go back, study martial arts for 2 hours. Then I'll sit and I'll start suturing, or I'll be reading some medical journals, or I'll be learning how to fix something or car or something that I'm not good at, or shooting a bow, or, I want to consume knowledge. I think that's my obsession. And as long as it provides me a skill, I'm happy. So you'll never see me doing things that is not providing me a skill, because I feel it's kind of like a waste of time, where I could be using that time to be absorbing something to learn practically. Like you'll never see me play soccer, certain things like that that a lot of people love and enjoy. I just can't do that because I want to do something. I'd rather go bow hunt because it's a skill. Learning to shoot a bow, I'm learning to skin and process an animal, and I've got food on the table for my family.
Is there something happening that you aren't telling us that we should be preparing for? Because I get the feeling like skinning birds. What the hell am I doing? You know, but and it speaks volumes for me as someone who's got to know you over the years.
Yeah.
That there's always room for improvement, regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
But I get the feeling now you've honed on the things that put fire in the belly, that get you out of bed in the morning.
Get me out of bed in the morning and check my ego. I
Okay.
think this is a big thing. I want my ego checked every day, and that's why obviously what martial arts does for you. But learning a new skill does what? Checks your ego, because you're not a master at it.
Resetting.
You're resetting. You have to be a student again. You have to be that wild belt again. You have to be humble again. And I think I love that process of that. And I love my life right now because I'm in a process of that and consuming so many different things. So I'm always obsessed with my job in martial arts, but I have so much other things going on in my life that people look at me and are like, how are you doing this? How are you, getting to that level? And it's good time management, kaizen theory, and being obsessed with, what you need to be doing.
How's the bow hunting come along, and where did that sort of pique your interest?
I've always been hunting for meat.
Okay.
And Warren, one of my black belts, he's actually a PH and a big bow hunter, and he's got a good group, and there's a whole lot of our students involved, and we've got a little group, and we got together. He introduced me to the bow, and basically just said, hey, this is like martial arts. Specifically, it's like jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And as soon as I shot the bow, I was like, okay, I understand what you mean. I need it's perishable. Like, all skills are perishable. If you're not doing it daily, weekly, you're going to lose it. And with bow hunting, especially, just like martial arts, if you don't do that daily or weekly, it will let you know and will check your ego.
Forgive me, we're not talking about a twig and sinew sort of like stick. This is a compound bow, right?
Yeah.
And this is a powerful weapon.
Yeah. I think it's become very super popular right now because of guys like Cameron Haynes, and a lot of mixed martial art guys are getting involved, and more guys are like learning about it.
Yeah.
So I think it's been introduced to the world lightly, and it's a weapon, and you can hunt with it.
Yeah.
And you need skill.
Absolutely.
And if you don't, it's going to let you know that you don't have the skill. So
and I think is it a disconnect for you from the day-to-day gym, the being around people, being a little bit, I assume there's the quietness, there's the stalking of the prey, there's a whole process.
Yeah, definitely the process. For me, it's mastering a skill. So I'll go from that straight into understanding some type of medical phase, straight into running a firearm course, straight into being on the mat. It's like just obsession and understanding, and that journey of mastering different skills consistently. I don't know. It's just something I really enjoy, but a lot of people are super fascinated with it. For me, it's just normal to consistently be reading about new things and learning new things. And we're in the age of information.
Absolutely.
It's so easy for us to consume information, yet it's also so easy for us to consume bad information. And that's why I try to explain to guys, is like, you probably spend more time consuming bad information than good.
Yeah.
Why don't you just switch that? And you'll see how your life can change a little bit. So
let me ask you this. Was it Jocko Willink who said, it's not motivation, it's discipline?
100%. Or discipline equals freedom.
Yeah.
And he's also a big, obviously, mentor, or he inspires me a lot because I spent a week with him in South Africa.
I was about to say, there's a link, right?
Yeah.
That must have blown your mind a little bit, considering that there's someone... rock star.
I
let's
think
be
I was
honest.
more starstruck then than going
Is
to
that
my
possible?
first UFC event.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was very like a pioneer point for
Mhm.
Chef and myself, having this guy in the gym in the black mat days.
Crazy.
You know, crazy days, and him just going, we're rolling every day. There was no like buts, ifs, what. He would come in, get the work done with us, sweat, go hard, get after it, like he always says, and then going to his like super seminar, Echo Front, and listening to his stories and his systems and philosophies, and yeah, it was amazing going for dinner with him. Yeah, I think it did motivate me more to what I'm doing right now, especially.
So it was almost like not a what's the word? The stars aligning in a way, because what you were putting out there and what he was putting out there, and then to combine that, you've taken and applied that to your life, to the community,
100%.
to the future.
I do believe like his phrase is discipline equals freedom, and it's you can compare that exactly with the kaizen theory.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same result that you're actually getting. So that's why like I connect with him so much more, and Chef and I connect with him so much more when he was here, because we see very similar, I wouldn't say lifestyles, or right now, yes, lifestyles,
Yeah.
but views on what we wanted to do, what we needed to do, and so forth. So he, taught us a lot about business as well. You know, changing philosophies of black mat days to blue mat days. That wasn't just phases of life. There was phases of communities. There was phases of where we wanted to see our business, what we needed to focus on. Because, like I said, we were ahead of our era. And if we did that then, it would be a different story. But, we couldn't focus everything for that long on just a group of 30 guys.
Yeah.
Because there wouldn't be anything left after that.
That's true.
So, yeah, I mean, everything happens for a reason. And we're seeing a lot of good from it right now. And we're seeing certain individuals that understand the history. It was quite interesting because when I went to the EFC, I've been there, like from EFC 1.
Yeah.
I think I fought on EFC 2 or 3. I mean, that's how long ago it was.
3 was my first one that I commentated on. Yeah.
But I went to there, and it's like no one even knew. And next to me was an ex-UFC guy, JP Base, and no one knew like who we were, and it was quite cool actually, because it's like this new generation of guys, and it's just nice to see that phase of how things are going, and our plans forward now. So yeah,
They must respect though, because you've paved the way.
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame someone for not being told history or understand history.
True.
And it certain individuals will always remember, certain individuals won't want to remember, and certain individuals will tell history the correct way.
Yeah.
And I'm just proud to see what the mixture is going on right now from sitting back for a few years, and now it's time to get back in there and to do what I love to do as well, but with a bit of understanding of what I need to do as well, with my community and business, and with going forward with athletes, the correct way.
Speaking of athletes, JP's back in the country.
Yeah.
Can you sort of hint at what potentially we can expect there? Because he's such a talent.
I think it will be great for him to tell his story.
Okay.
And for him to tell his future. It's nice for me to have guys like him. He's been with me since he was 16.
Yeah, I was going to say that relationship is
a lot of these guys, so he's back. It's good for him to tell his story, but I'm not pressuring him, let's say that, into doing anything. He's competing in the grappling.
Yeah.
I
so
want
he's coming up in the
Sub
March.
King, in March, and I want him to find that love again for the sport, because I feel that's when he was at his best.
Yeah.
He's had a hard time, and I think it's a good story for you to understand
we'll
that.
get him in.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. But yeah, it's nice to have guys like that around again, and it's nice to see him happy and vibing in the community.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's great
yeah,
to
yeah.
hear. You've had some big egos in
Big?
Black Max.
I think massive.
Blue.
I think you can't even understand the egos.
The point I'm trying to make here is how important the man management side of and understanding how to read the room.
Yeah.
Especially with egos, especially with protein shakes and testosterone and fighters and alpha males.
Yeah, yeah.
How tricky is it to balance all of that?
I think it was a downfall a little bit for me, actually. I let the ball loose a little bit. I think that was a little bit of a downfall for me. It's a little bit of a learning curve that I've learned a big lesson for, but also not living full-heartedly for other individuals and learning to live for myself as well. But you can't, I think, with athletes in mixed martial arts, with athletes that are in violence, the egos are different from other sports. And it's hard to tell them what to do. You kind of have to shepherd them in the right place, and you can't kind of use the iron fist against them to even though you know it's the correct way, they need to make that choice, because it will backfire on you, and it's always a lose situation for the coach or the gym or so forth, because people will always do what they need to do to fit their narratives, regardless if it's correct or not correct. So yeah, I mean, it was great to understand a room full of absolute killers that had absolute crazy egos, and everyone just wanted to be the alpha and the top dog, and also take your space and take that number one spot, number two spot. It was really special to see and feel and be there for so many years, but a lot of lessons learned from that. Things that I now implement differently going forward in the grey mat eras,
I think there's a lot of psychologists or psychiatrists that would have loved to have dissected that, man.
Yes, the amount of sports psychologists that we went to, and this person and that person. I mean, you can't tame a violent man. It just is what it is, man. And it's a good thing. That's what you actually want. You want that untamed, violent person, because that's the sport we're in.
Absolutely.
You just got to shepherd them, and hopefully they go in the correct direction and on the way achieve what they need to achieve.
And I think it was quite evident for me that you guys would harness that the psychology, the sports psychology of things. If I'm not mistaken, you also used to implement like trigger words and things like that, where you would have
mantras.
That's it.
Yeah, we had mantras, we had trigger words, we had a language in the corner, because everyone speaks English. Everyone knows what a jab is. Everyone knows what a kick is, and in South Africa, the most important phrase is "get up." But
absolutely.
So
when all else fails.
So we had every individual. For instance, when people warm up, say athletes warm up, everyone has their phases. Some guys don't need hard pad session, grappling session. Some guys need to hit pads. Some guys just need to get physical and grapple or wrestle. Some guys need to just listen to music. Some guys need to read certain things, listen to certain things, eat certain things, put on things differently. That's their mantras. And I was very in touch with each athlete's mantras, and I knew how they wanted things exactly to kind of put them in the best mental space possible, that when they walked out, they were triggered and on. Not saying that's the correct way of doing things, but that's how we did it, back then.
And it was effective.
It was effective,
Yeah.
and the language in the corners are still effective, creating your own language in the corners, I still think is a huge advantage.
Yeah, because some corners throw out numbers.
Yeah, but everyone kind of knows the numbers now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, you have to evolve, right?
Yeah, you got to evolve. And it literally has to be a language.
Yeah.
Because it can't just be numbers. It has to be a language.
And Klingon staking.
And yeah, that's it.
What is your language called?
We don't have a name for it. It's just
time now. Come on.
Just a language that, you throw out words that mean to certain sequences and to watch out for certain things or to do certain things, without the other individual maybe hearing it or so forth. And different places also, it's hard to hear.
Yeah.
So for them to, instead of listening to a sentence, they're listening to a trigger word, which then leads to something for them to do, to not just like a right cross, but to set up something. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Richie, we've got a few more minutes. We often speak about legacy, and I'm convinced that it's important to you, the legacy that you leave behind.
Yeah.
And what you've achieved so far is a huge part of that legacy. But ideally going forward, what is those things you'd like to add to your legacy? Because you said you're a guy who doesn't do 6 months. Camp is different, preparing for a fight, whatever it is, but it's about chapters, eras. Now you're in the grey mat era. What are some of the boxes you want to tick for that legacy?
I want to be known as the person that did it all.
Okay.
The coach that could do it all, did it all to a certain degree, and that I created actual martial artists.
Okay.
And if that happens, I'll be happy with that.
I think you're on the right track, my friend.
Yeah.
I really do think so. Looking at South African MMA where we are at the moment, and yes, we are riding this wave because of Drickus, but is it still, in your opinion, I know you're back now with coaching, getting ready for EFC, is it headed in the right direction again? Because for a time it wasn't. It was, I think there were a few things happening that sort of maybe was just off path maybe, because it started with a bang.
Yeah.
And I think the future is exciting.
Yeah, future is exciting. I've got Don Madge in PFL, new weight category, welterweight, $1 million tournament.
Very exciting.
Yeah. I've got BK.
Yeah, he's done incredibly well then.
Guys don't talk about that guy enough, and he's going to probably be fighting again for the ONE FC belt soon. You guys, Boyd's in Risen, you got Chad in Brave. There's lots of guys that are coming up through me, amateurs in the grappling world, and just doing our thing. When it's time, it will happen.
Yeah.
And people will be happy or they won't be happy, but it will be achieved eventually. And if it's not, we just keep going.
Yeah.
Because the ultimate goal is not only that, it's the growth and just keep going forward non-stop. Why? Because it's something that we love to do.
Yeah. We speak about the UFC being in Africa. PFL have announced they're definitely coming here.
Yeah, I heard 2025.
Yeah, so it just shows that, what you guys have been doing all those years ago, it's culminating in something truly special.
Yeah, I'm blessed to have gone to basically every promotion in the world and seen every promotion in the world, and to see them touch African soil, it's a very inspiring thing. I'm proud of myself and of the people around me and the hard work that everyone's put in to actually see the growth in this country, because the more growth we have, more opportunities we're going to have, and the better for all of us.
And the more you can give back to the sport. I know, and this is said with all respect to other gyms, there's guys doing incredible things, Team CIT, you name it. But it's important that IP filters back into this new generation of talent.
Yeah, I think the generation right now is so blessed because they are going to be fast-tracked. And if they just understood that and put their head down and worked, they will achieve what they need to achieve or want to achieve. They just got to have that thought process and consistency of what they need to do, because if there's one time, the time's now for them to do it.
I think we'll leave that on those profound words, Richie Quan. It's been an absolute honor. It's about time I've got you in studio. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for having
anytime.
me.
Keep up the incredible work. And we can't wait to see what this grey mat chapter is all about, because it's very exciting. And thanks for sharing time with us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much for watching the CS Duplessis Show. We appreciate your time as always. Continue to like and subscribe, and feel free to reach out on social media, on Instagram. A big shout out to our partners at Betway for supporting us, and we'll catch you again next time. Thanks for watching.